How biodiesel is made, a simple overview. Introduction.
Let us start with the introduction to biodiesel. What is the definition of biodiesel? Well, biodiesel is a renewable, biodegradable fuels derived from biological resources such as vegetable oils, animal fats, or restaurant grease. It serves as an alternative to conventional petroleum diesel and can also be used in diesel engines, either in its pure form or blended with petroleum diesel in various proportions. The table shows biodiesel's physical properties. In terms of performance, biodiesel has a higher certain number and provides similar energy content compared to petroleum diesel. This ensures comparable engine performance. However, it has a higher viscosity and can transform into gel at low temperature, which may require consideration for use in colder climates. Biodiesel represents a sustainable alternative to fossil fuels, contributing to energy security and environmental sustainability.
History and development.
Biodiesel history began in the late 19th century when Rudolf Diesel showcased his engine running on peanut oil at the Paris Exposition. He envisioned vegetable oils as the sustainable fuels, but the rise of petroleum diesel delayed biodiesel development at the time. In the 1930s, effort to split fatty acid from glycerin in vegetable oil led to thinner fuel resembling petroleum diesel. In 1937, G. Chauvin patented an ethyl ester of palm oil, now biodiesel, which powered a Belgian bus route by 1938. During World War II, vegetable oil was used as fuel in some countries but abandoned post-war, while petroleum became cheaper. We're moving on to the modern growth of biodiesel. Interest in biodiesel research in the 1970s due to the oil embargo. Scientists discovered that diesel engines could run on vegetable oil, but its high viscosity caused engine damage. Experiments to convert vegetable oil into biodiesel improved fuel quality and compatibility. The term biodiesel likely emerged around 1984. In 1895, Australia opened the first biodiesel manufacturing plant. By 1990s, production expanded across Europe, with Germany leading. The US established its first commercial plant in Kansas City, Missouri. In 1991, Yellowstone National Park adopted biodiesel in 1995, proving its long-term viability. By 2009, over 200 biodiesel manufacturers operated in the US, and global production grew from 1 billion litres in 2001 to 6 billion litres in 2006. Let's move on with challenge and controversies. Biodiesel faced challenge like inconsistent fuel quality addressed in 2001 with ASTM standard D6751. The food versus fuel debate raised concern about cropland diversion for fuel, driving up food prices. Indirect land use change suggested that land conversion for biofuel feedstocks could release more carbon than fossil fuels. Moving on to future prospects, biodiesel engine cannot fully replace petroleum due to the limited cropland, but can help reduce emissions and pollution. Research into alternative feedstock like algae and energy crops down on degraded land offers solution. Non-edible biomass such as agricultural waste provide sustainable options.
Types of biodiesel.
There are three types of biodiesel, which is B5, also known as low-level blends, B20 and B100, which is a high-level blend. B5 biodiesel contains up to 5% biodiesel and is called diesel fuel. Low-level biodiesel is approved by ASTM for safe operation in any compression ignition engine designed to be operated on petroleum diesel. This also includes light-duty and heavy-duty diesel cars, trucks, tractors, boats, and electrical generators. While B20 is a common blend of diesel containing 6 to 20% biodiesel, as it includes a good balance of cost, emissions, cold weather performance, and compatibility with conventional engines. Usually, B20 and B5 can be used in current engines without modifications. In fact, many diesel engine manufacturers approve for the use of B20 for light-duty diesel vehicles. Engines operating on B20 have similar fuel consumption, horsepower, and torque to engines running on petroleum diesel. B20 will have 1% to 2% less energy per gallon than petroleum diesel, but importantly, there is no noticeable difference in performance or fuel economy. Next is the B100. These pure biodiesel are less commonly used directly as a transportation fuel due to lack of regulatory incentives and pricing. B100 has a solvent effect. It can clean a vehicle's fuel system and release deposits accumulated from petrol and diesel use. The release of these deposits may initially clog filters and require frequent filter replacement in the first few tanks of high-level blends. Pure biodiesel contains less energy than petroleum diesel. Therefore, the higher the percentage of biodiesel, the lower the energy content per gallon. However, B100 can also impact engine warranties, gel in cold temperatures, and may present unique storage issues. It could also increase nitrogen oxide emissions, although it greatly reduces other toxic emissions.
Raw materials for biodiesel production.
Actually, there are various raw materials used to produce biodiesel, which are vegetable oils, animal fats, and used cooking oils. Okay, first one, vegetable oils. Vegetable oils like sunflower, soybean, and palm can provide the fatty acid part in the biodiesel. These raw materials have been used in many countries like palm oil in Malaysia, sunflower oil in Europe, and soybean oil in the USA. Okay, second raw material is animal fats. Animal fats like tallow and lard can be transesterified into biodiesel because of their higher fat content. But it is very challenging to produce biodiesel with lower oxidation stability compared to plant due to their higher melting point. Okay, even these fats are often sourced as byproduct from the food industry. The process to produce biodiesel become longer due to their different materials than plant oil. Okay, lastly, used cooking oil. Used cooking oils is a very important sources of raw material for biodiesel production. Okay, because of that, there are countries that have organized an elaborate effort to collect the used cooking oil from restaurants and convert them to biodiesel manufacturing plants. Because as we know that there are many restaurants in a country, right? So because of the process to collect used oil is very challenging, so they decide to collect the used oil only from the restaurant in the large cities.
The biodiesel production process.
So now, let's get into how biodiesel is made. For your information, we can produce less than a liter of biodiesel for about 3 hours. But if we want to make gallons of it, we need around 10 hours until 3 days time to produce a complete biodiesel. So the first step is going to be to select and pre-treat feedstocks. Feedstocks like corn or soybean oils, we will choose them and then we will pre-treat them to remove any kind of impurities like waters, dirt, and etc. And then if the feedstocks has high content of free fatty acids, then we need to do another process that we call as acid esterification to make sure to prevent any kind of soap formation during further process. But based on the diagram beside me, it shows that the feedstock has undergone pre-treatment. So now we are getting into the second step, which is mixing. Yes, so what are we mixing in this step? There are going to be three things. The first one is going to be oil-bearing mass. What is oil-bearing mass? So basically, oil-bearing mass is the feedstock that has undergone the first step, which is selection and pre-treatment. Then we have the second thing that we call as alcohol as a reagent, and the last thing is going to be a biocatalyst, like a microorganisms. Why do we use biocatalyst? Because we want to accelerate the reaction, and it is environmentally friendlier than a normal catalyst. This third step, there's going to be a trans-esterification process happens in the reactor, where the triglycerides in the biomass will react with alcohol to produce two things, which is biodiesel as a main product and a glycerol. So biodiesel, we call them as fatty acid methyl esters, or better known as FATE. For your information, in this process, we call them as in situ trans-esterification. Why? Because in situ means that it occurs continuously. After the reaction is complete, we will proceed to the next step that we call as filtration. Yes, we will filter the mixture to remove any kind of solid residues such as unreacted biomass. This is to ensure that when we proceed to the next step, there's going to be only liquid components in the mixture. Next, the mixture will enter the separator. Here, we will separate the biodiesel as the main product and glycerol as the byproduct. And then, the second last step is going to be the recovery system. Why do we call it recovery system? Because we will recover and recycle the ingredients that we have used before, which is the alcohol and the biocatalyst. Yes, we will take them and put them again in the mixture and then reuse them. So from here, we can minimize waste and reduce the cost. And here comes the last step, where we will purify the biodiesel. Purify here means that we will wash and dry them. Why do we need to wash them and why do we need to dry them? Basically, we need to wash them to make sure that we totally remove any kind of residual catalysts, unreacted alcohols, or maybe soaps that form during the process. Why do we need to dry them? Because we need to eliminate the moisture and to ensure that our biodiesel meet the quality standards based on what kind of biodiesel that we are producing. And that sums up how we produce biodiesel.
Environmental impact.
Next is the environmental impact of biodiesel. The good impact of using biodiesel is it will lower emissions of greenhouse gas and air pollutants. Powering vehicles with 100% biodiesel instead of conventional diesel can reduce carbon dioxide emissions by over 95% according to a study conducted by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL. Emissions of air pollutants such as particulate matter and hydrocarbons also reduce as the percentage of biodiesel compared to conventional diesel increase. Next, biodiesel is environmentally friendly. Biodiesel is not only sustainable but also has a cleaner burning option that can be used in diesel engines without modification. It is also non-toxic and biodegradable. Lastly, biodiesel also has low carbon intensity. Biodiesel has a lower carbon intensity compared to petroleum diesel. Carbon intensity measures the amount of carbon dioxide released per unit of energy produced and reflects the fuel's overall impact on the environment. Next, we continue with the bad impact of biodiesel. Biodiesel will cause tailpipe emissions, which is the nitrous oxide emissions. A harmful air pollutant will go up as the percentage of biodiesel increase. Next, biodiesel will reduce ecosystem quality. The usage of diesel fuel will reduce plant growth and plant diversity, which also leads to the disruption in growth and development. Thus, the quality of ecosystem will decrease with the increase in the number of pollutants. Lastly, biodiesel can cause climate change. Diesel fuel produce polluting gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. These gases have a high potential to cause global warming, and then climate change will happen.
Economic
The
impact.
first consideration is the production cost. Feedstock considered for 60% to 80% of the total cost of biodiesel production. Common feedstock including vegetable oils, animal fats, and also used cooking oils. The trans-esterification process used to convert oils or fats into biodiesel involves the use of alcohol, usually methanol, and catalyst, which is sodium hydroxide, and also energy. First, let us see from the feedstock properties. From feedstock, we have edible and non-edible. Non-edible such as chatopra, ester, and also waste oils offer a more economical alternative compared to edible oils such as soybean and rapeseed oil. Next is the byproduct utilization. The byproduct of biodiesel production can be sold to offset the cost. And then we have energy requirement. The energy intensive process for heating and mixing impact the production cost. The second economic consideration is the government policies and incentive. The first one is about the subsidies and tax credit. The government incentive, like tax credits, have historically stimulated biodiesel production by offsetting costs and encourage investment. Next is the regulatory mandates. Policies requiring biofuel blend in transportation fuels can drive demand, impacting the economic landscape of biodiesel production. The third consideration is about the market dynamic. The first one is about the price competition. As we know, biodiesel must compete with petroleum diesel in terms of cost and performance. Next is about demand fluctuation, seasonal variation, and also policies that mandate biofuel blending impact the biodiesel demand. The last economic consideration of biodiesel production is the economic impact. The first one is about job creation and economic activity. The biodiesel industry will create jobs and stimulate economic activity. This can help to improve the standard of living of other people. Next is the energy security. Biodiesel can help to reduce the dependence on imported fossil fuels, enhancing national energy security and also economic stability.
Conclusion.
Biodiesel is sustainable and eco-friendly alternative to fossil fuels, produced through the trans-esterification of renewable resources like vegetable oils, animal fats, and waste material.
It significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions and supports energy security.
However, problems such as feedstock availability, production costs, and environmental concern needs to be addressed.
Innovations in technology and feedstock diversification offer promising solutions to scale biodiesel production efficiently.
With continued advancements and support, biodiesel has the potential to play a pivotal role in the global transition toward cleaner energy sources.